What is up, Internet? My name is JD, coming at you with my Disgruntled Redskin fan video number 5. It's not so much about me being disgruntled today, it's about the Washington Redskins draft, which had nothing bad to say about. I think it's the best draft we've had in a long time. Different layout. Usually my computer was over there in that corner, but I got an L-shaped desk now, so it's changed. Right now I have my computer over to the right here, so if you see my hand going off here, I'm moving the mouse, and there's another tablet over here. This is my view. The view is a tablet that's like that big. It's really nice. It's got a really good camera on it. So that's why I'm using it. And then if you can see it, it's the edge of my table, right, my TV right here. So this is my whole entertainment center. Like the screens gradually get smaller. It's kind of funny. I work for AT&T, so more bars and more places. I'm going to talk about the NFL draft. I'll talk about the strategy I think we're using, and that's why we went with them. And the guys we drafted. I'm going to go ahead and get into that right now. Dive right in. Let me explain first what I think our defensive strategy was last year. Our defensive strategy last year, our GM looked at our offense and said, listen, this offense is going to be loaded. There's a lot of good talent. We are loaded. Here's what we need to do. We need to make sure we play with leads. So we need to get a lead early, and then our defense can zone up. That's why we went and got Josh Norman, because he's one of the best zone defenders in the league when it comes to his secondary. We can zone up, okay, and we can come after teams, pin your ears back, and go after them and drop 5 or 6 guys back into a zone and hopefully get to the quarterback beforehand. Now, that is my opinion on what I believe our defense strategy was. Now, our defensive line got hurt. Our offensive wasn't as productive as it should have been. Yada, yada, yada. Those are the reasons why our defense was not very successful. I'll get more into that a little bit later. Okay? But keep that strategy in mind. Being able to zone up on defense, which you cover an area. Okay? And we got a lot of young, athletic defensive line guys. See, I honestly thought we should have gone defensive tackle. We should have shored up the interior of our defense. Big, hog molly defensive tackle. Okay? And the benefit of that is run stopping, because I thought a lot of teams ran on us pretty hard last year. But I think the way we drafted, we're going for a completely different strategy, which I'm okay with. Okay, but that was just what I initially was hoping. Okay, whenever we got the defense before the draft started, I had a prediction of what we needed. I thought we should have gone defense, 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 one position on offense, defense, defense, defense. Defensive end or defensive tackle, defensive lineman basically. Secondary. Okay, any position can use improvement. Okay, so those are the 2 positions, just anywhere defensive line and secondary. Kind of broad, I know, but we can shift parts around. We have some young versatile players. And then running back, because we don't have a solid number 1 running back. I think we got one. I'll get to that a little bit later. So based on the defensive strategy I got, if that's what we're doing, I keep burping, I apologize. Our defensive strategy, our drafting was perfect. Okay? And here's what I mean by our drafting was perfect. Okay? The first pick we took was Jonathan Allen. He is a defensive end. He is hard off the edge. Now, when we drafted him, like, darn, he's not a defensive tackle. However, after watching some game film of him, they lined him up at defensive tackle. He blew guys off the ball. So I think he's a great pickup. I think he's a great fit for our defensive strategy that I just mentioned. Okay. He can also do pretty good at stopping the run. So he can do pretty good things. Not at defensive tackle. He's not big enough. But he could probably do a pretty good job at stopping the run at defensive end. Okay. Number 2 pick in the draft. The first thing that the analysts said, Ryan Anderson is an explosive edge rusher. Right there. Plays right into that strategy I just told you about. Good edge rusher. He could probably put his hand in the dirt. They need him at defensive end to come get the quarterback. That's something he is extremely talented at. So there's our first 2 guys are playing into that strategy. Okay? 2 starters that are going to play into that strategy. Fabian Moreau, whatever his name is, he's a cornerback. I think he plays in that strategy as well. He's a zone. He can play man, but he can play zone. He's athletic. He's a ball hawk. He tracks the ball, and he can actually tackle pretty good for his size. If I keep going, I'm going to go ahead and just go through all the defensive picks. 4th pick 17th pick in the 4th round, Monte Nichols is a safety, 6'2 safety. Okay? Scroll down all the way to round 7. We got a safety who is 6'4", who specializes in covering tight ends because of his size, 6'4". He's a physical big tight end out of Louisville. And Joshua Housley, we got him with our last pick in the draft at 7th round, number 17. I do think he brings some value. Here's why: because he's started 4 straight years in the SEC. That's a hard league to play in. Anyone who could start in that league, it's kind of like starting for a high school football team in Texas. You're probably going to play college football somewhere. In this case, if you're a defensive back in Auburn, odds are you can translate to the pros because there's some tough receivers in that league. So I think this is what our defense did. We have a lot of young defenders. We have young and experienced defenders. Okay? What's the easiest strategy? The defensive lineman, not too much scheme. Pin your ears back and go get the quarterback. Secondary players, they're all interchangeable. You have a lot of young defensive players, not just the ones we drafted. If you look at our roster from going into this season, on the defensive side, Rashad Breeland isn't very old. Okay, Sanua Cravens, Deshaun Phillips is young. Not Swearinger, he's pretty old. Quentin Dunbar, Kendall Fuller was a rookie last year. Will Blackman. So a lot of young defensive interior guys. Okay, I'm sorry, a lot of young secondary guys that are interchangeable to run those zone cover schemes. We didn't really need a lot of linebackers. We have good linebackers, so it's something the Redskins have always been good at, is drafting linebackers and having linebackers in ample amount. So I do think going forward, that is what our defense is going to do. It's going to be a fast zone scheme. It's nothing too complicated, so that we can play a lot of young guys, and if need be, they can fit in. We've been going through a lot of injuries on defense the last few years, so that's why I kind of believe that's the scenario here. Now, let's go to the offense. The offense filled a big need. That was the third option on my list of what we needed to fill. Running back. Shamaj Perine is a running back out of Oklahoma. He's 5'11", and he runs hard. He runs hard. I am a Mountaineers fan, and he obliterated us. Okay, he just ran all over God's creation against us. Okay, he's a very good player. I think he's right on the cusp of not being too tall to play running back. I've never liked Matt Jones for the sole purpose that it's very easy to injure him because of how tall he is. If you're over 6 feet tall, you're going to get injured. Okay. The next offensive player we took was Jeremy Sprinkle. He is a tight end. If you look through the Redskins roster, there's a trend here. Jeremy Sprinkle is 6'5". Okay. We drafted another wide receiver at 6'3", named Robert Davis. And if you look through the rest of our team, I'll go ahead and just read them off to you right now. Terrell Pryor is 6'4". Okay. Brian Quick is 6'3". Robert Davis, who we just drafted, 6'3". Actually, I need to check that guy's height real quick. Josh Dobson is 6'3". Kendall Thompson is 6'4". Okay. Reginald Diggs is 6'3". Matt Hazel is 6'3". The shortest ones are Ryan Grand, who's 6 foot, and Jamison Crowder. Okay. If you keep going with that trend, and you go look at our tight ends are Jordan Reed, who is 6'6". Niles Paul is only 6'1", so he's not very tall, and I don't think he'll be on the team by the end of training camp. Vernon Davis is 6'3". Jeremy Sprinkle, again, 6'5". Carrier, 6'4", and Wes Saxon is 6'5". A lot of big-bodied receivers with a couple small receivers thrown in there. Okay? I'm sorry, Jordan Reed's only 6'2". I thought he was way taller than that, but still, a lot of big-bodied receivers. Jordan Reed pretty much plays like a tight end, or a receiver anyway. And here's what this does for us offensively. John Gruden is a master. This is why I wanted him to be a coach long before the Redskins ever hired. He's good at taking tight ends. And let's say I'm a tight end and I'm Jordan Reed. If you got center, guard, tackle, and you line up tight end out here, away from all that, split out, you have an option defensively. You can cover him with a corner, okay, in which you have a height mismatch. If you have Jeremy Sprinkle, who is 6'5", out there on the corner, out on the edge, being covered by a corner, that is a height mismatch. Whether it's a jump ball or whether you want to use your big body and seal them, one or the other. You have a mismatch. Okay? So they do two options. They guard you with a corner, which I just told you how they burn that, or they guard you with a linebacker, in which opens up gaps for running because you don't have one of your run stoppers in your interior of the defense. That is the big benefit of what his scheme is when it comes to big tight ends and big wide receivers. That's going to play a really big factor going forward. A lot of big receivers, not too many small ones, other than Crowder, Grant, and if you want to throw Dobson, I'd say he'd be one of the smallest of the rest of them. Okay, so that is the offensive strategy. Big receivers, probably going to try to fix the red zone problem. I'll get into that a little bit later. And then I think Robert Kelly, I don't think he's that good. We're trading Matt Jones. I think Matt Brown should be second behind Perrine, and then Thompson should be up there. Those should be our three running backs. Okay. So that is what we did with our draft. We also got an offensive lineman. Offensive lineman, not bad. He's a center who is apparently extremely good at impact run blocking, like pancaking, and he's pretty good at pass blocking. So he could probably be versatile. He's a center, but they said he can jump the guard if they need him to. So he's versatile, and we always seem to get dumb injuries on the offensive line anyway. So that's going to be very helpful to us as well. You pair that up with Brandon Sheriff, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough offensive line. It was already vastly improved last year. It's only going to get better. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go over what I think was wrong with the team last year. Defense was not the issue with the team last year. In my opinion, is based solely on this. I look at. Let me put it this way. Kirk Cousins, I think, was more or less the problem with our team last year. And Kirk Cousins started 2 years. So I compare year to year, and I look at causality. What caused what? Was there something that caused this outcome? Okay? Causality. Simple, logical. Hear me out. If you look at our defense, a lot of people want to blame our defense. Blame our defense for why we didn't win as many games. I do not believe the defense is the reason at all. Were they great? Absolutely not. But they were not the reason we lost. In 2015, our defense averaged giving up 380 yards a game and about 24.5 points a game. 24.8, I think, is the exact number. Okay? And then last year, or this 2016 season, they gave up 378 yards, which is less. And same amount of yard or points per game. So those two statistics line up almost identical to each other. So then people look at it and like, oh, well, what was the difference? 1 year, 2016, the Washington Redskins defense did give up a much higher percentage on defense, on third down conversions. Okay, fair enough. That's a fair stat. You can make that claim. However, you cannot make that claim because you're saying that's the reason why the defense did not succeed. Well, no, the defense did exactly the same thing the year before, and they were much better in that category. They're actually, I think they were 12th in the league in defensive red zone efficiency the year before. So obviously that's not the reason why they lost. Even though you're giving up more third downs, you didn't give up more points and you didn't give up more yards. Okay? You also didn't give up more time in possession. Okay? So those are three things that did not get caused by third downs. And everyone wants to latch onto that. It's the worst in the NFL history. Doesn't matter. If you don't give up the points, it doesn't matter. I can give up third down conversions all day. If I get you the ball on the 1 yard line, you march all the way to the other 1 yard line, and I'm able to stop you on the last third down. You get 10 yards at a time converting on third down, and I stop you. It does not matter how many yards you got and how many times you got third down. If you don't get in the end zone, it does not matter. Okay? Now, I just showed you the defense year to year, and there's only one statistic. It's different, and that's third down conversions, but it does not affect any other statistic. Okay? Now I'm going to tell you about Kirk Cousins' stats, which I'll go ahead and get into this. I think we should trade Kirk Cousins because we're not going to get any value out of him. And what I mean by that is he's gone. He's not staying. He is not going to stay. I wish he was. He's not a bad quarterback. I don't think he's horrible. I don't even get the wrong impression that I don't think he's good. He is not a bad quarterback. I'll get into more or less what my issue with him is. But I'm just trying to make a plea for people to understand what I'm trying to say when it comes to why the Redskins, or why Kirk Cousins is the problem with the Redskins. If you look at his yards, yes, Kirk Cousins threw 700 more yards in 2016 than he did in 2015. It's actually like, there's an exact number. I'm just going to round up for the sake of this video, okay? He had 5 less touchdowns in 2016. He had 30 touchdowns in 2015, 30 touchdowns, and he had 25 last year. Okay? That's a huge drop-off, especially when you see how many games we won close, which I'll get to here in a minute, how many close games we lost. Okay? You also have to look at, he had more interceptions. It's only 1, so I really don't care about that. I'm just mentioning it. And he had 3 more forced fumbles this year. He also had 2 less rushing touchdowns, just throwing it out there. But the numbers that are glaring to me are, first off, the touchdowns. Touchdowns were bad. Okay? And I'm going to literally pull up the exact numbers so I can read you verbatim what they say. Okay? I know this stat off the top of my head. Hold on one second. NFL QB red zone numbers. Hopefully that's it. Kirk Cousins was 7th in the league in 2015 in red zone efficiency. Okay? Now, what that means is of all the quarterbacks, there was 30, almost 40-some quarterbacks played that year. He was the 7th best one. Okay? That puts him behind everyone, Cam Newton, Palmer, Bortles, Matt Stafford, Tom Brady. I put him ahead of a lot of players. Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, Rodgers, Breeze. He was one of the best. He was number 7. Okay? This was his numbers. I'm going across the board. I'm going to read them verbatim. Okay? I'm turning to look at the computer screen for you. His completion percentage was 63.29%. He had 345 passing yards. Okay? 22 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Okay? Those are really good stats. Okay? 63% completion percentage, that's extremely good. Okay? For any quarterback. I'm only seeing about 2 quarterbacks that did higher than him. Only one did higher than him was Matt Stafford. Okay? So his completion percentage was through the roof. Now, go to 10 and in, which 10 and in is like literally goal to go. It's called goal to go, 10 and in. You're within 10 yards, trying to get in the end zones. First down, like first and goal, basically. And all downs in that time frame. Okay? Kirk Cousins was 64.10% completion percentage. Okay? That's extremely good. Only one person, again, in this category, 2 people were higher than him. He had Ben Roethlisberger, Marcus Mariota, and who's the other one? Matt Stafford. Okay? Only 2 quarterbacks were higher than him in this statistical category. Okay? He had 64.10 completion percentage. 111 yards, which yards don't really, or 99 yards, yards don't matter, goal to go. Don't care about yards, okay? I care about getting the ball in the end zone, in which he did. He got the ball in the end zone 16 times. 0 interceptions, okay? That's high efficiency. That is very high efficiency, okay? And that's my argument when it comes to what I'm about to say next. Is Kirk Cousins was the reason we lost because he was not efficient in the red zone compared to what he did the year before. Now, I'm going to go across the board again. In 2015, Kirk Cousins went from 63.29% to 45.78. That's almost a 20% drop in completion percentage in the red zone. Okay? 20% drop. He had 100 less yards. He had 14 touchdowns. That's 8 less touchdowns in the red zone and 2 interceptions. That's a huge drop-off, guys. That's 8 touchdowns. That is 8 touchdowns. That's a huge, dramatic drop-off. And if you look goal to go, Kirk Cousins went from 64.10 to 31.58. 31.58. That is a 50% reduction in completion percentage. Over 50%. That's 50% reduction. It's extremely, horribly asinine and bad. That's a horrible completion percentage, goal to go. Okay, again, yards don't care about. 8 touchdowns. He went from 22 touchdowns in the red zone to 14, and he went to 14 touchdowns in 10 and in, down to 8, and then 2 interceptions in the red zone. Now, what's let's categorize. Let's say, what does this all mean? What this means is Kirk Cousins went from being very efficient in the red zone to not. He went from having 30 touchdowns to only 25. Okay, I'm not going to count his turnovers against him, or I'm not going to even worry about that. But it does matter in goal to go. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it over the course of the season. It's literally one interception. That could be like a bounce, wrong bounce one way or the other. Okay, but as I just stated, it is a huge statistical drop. If you looked at a chart on completion percentage, it'd look like this. That'd be the difference. You have 50% completion or drop off in completion percentage, and you have like a 20% drop off on the other. It's staggering how different the stats are. So when you look at the grand scheme of things, 2015, we won 9 games, got to the playoffs. Okay? And then you look at 2016. You look at the causality. Where was the difference? The difference is in defense, one category, which was third down conversions. Again, still did not result in points. Okay? More points. And then you look at, okay, less touchdowns by Kirk Cousins. Okay? Then you look at it and say, oh, wow, his red zone numbers are bad and his goal-to-go numbers are very bad. So that is what my point is whenever I have my opinion, is I look at his numbers in the red zone and say, I'm not making these numbers up, guys. I'll give you the exact link if you want it. It is pro-football-reference.com/years/2016/redzone-passing.htm. That is the exact URL. This is Pro Football Reference. It's one of the premier sites when it comes to football stats. Okay? This is the premier. Okay? I had someone say this. They said, Kirk Cousins is the man. He's the most amazing. He should be paid. Yada yada yada. And then I mentioned that like his red zone numbers. He said, "Oh, he doesn't have any weapons. What do you expect?" I'm sorry, he doesn't have any weapons. And then he also said he has bad play calling. So wait a second. So you're telling me that to get his 4,900 yards, he did it all by himself. He did not have good guys that can catch and run. He did not have guys that can actually catch the ball first and then run. And he did all that with no weapons. And the play calling was so bad, Kirk was still able to do it. But all that goes out the window whenever he does not succeed in the red zone. You can't have one without the other. You can't have a $20 million quarterback and then not be accountable for anything. Okay? You can't have one without the other. Either he's responsible and we have weapons all around, he just didn't produce, or we have no weapons, period, which kind of is weird that he got 4,900 yards with 0 weapons, okay, and he didn't produce in the red zone. Considering the year before, he had the same exact weapons in the red zone. He didn't even have Vernon Davis. Last year he had Vernon Davis, 2016. He didn't have Vernon Davis, 2015. And he put up better numbers in the red zone. So we added a weapon to our team, and we were unable to put the ball in the end zone more. How is that possible? Kirk Cousins. So that is what I mean. That is, I'm sorry. It lacked any kind of logic, to be completely honest with you. That you're going to sit there and say, yeah, okay, he's got 4,900 yards. He's the man. And then whenever he didn't the job in the end zone, oh, well, he doesn't have any weapons. So he had weapon. He didn't have any weapons for the 4,900 passing yards. Oh, he has bad play calling. So the bad play calling got him 4,900 yards. But bad play calling, the play calling was bad when it got him 4,900 yards. But it's not bad when it comes to him being able to put the ball in the end zone. But it is bad when it comes to him putting the ball in the end zone. Got it. That's logic for you. So, to recap, and this is why I don't like Kirk Cousins. This is the last reason. And I'm going to bring my name, and everyone's going to whine, bitch, and moan. RG3. RG3, when he played for the Redskins, got ridiculed for every mistake he made. Was it deserved? Yes. I'm not going to argue that, okay? Some of it was deserved, okay? Some of it was deserved. But I don't see the same kind of uproar for Kirk Cousins when he screws up. I don't see the same kind of uproar. And that's glaring to me, considering I've just listed stats that analyze perfectly and explain and rationalize that Kirk Cousins is the reason we did not make the playoffs last year. I'm going to go over, basically it seems like he's not accountable for anything. Anytime they succeed, it's all him. 4,000 passing yards. He made a game-winning play or game-winning drive, whatever the case may be. When they fail, the defense put him in a bad spot, so he couldn't get the touchdown to win the game. oh, he didn't score in the red zone, so it's obviously his bad receivers and play calling. Okay, come on. You can't have both. You can't have both. And considering our offensive weapons, the logic is my logic. You can blame the defense, sure, in this scenario. Let's say he's giving up more. The defense is giving up more third down conversions, and we're averaging giving up 28.5 points a game. Your argument is valid then, because you can correlate the third down conversions, increase in third down conversion percentage from year to year to the increase in points. You can equate that. That is a fair equation, okay? But you cannot compare third down conversions to wins, because there's statistical categories like points, yards, that aren't accounted for whenever you just compare one to wins, okay? Kirk Cousins had five less passing touchdowns. If you spread those 5 touchdowns over a handful of our games, we're in the playoffs. We walk into the playoffs. I'll just go over a few just very quickly, okay? First, the last game of the season, which is started my first video, Giants. We put 7 on the ends on them. We win. I know everyone's gonna say like, no, they had 19. They got 19. They got the last touchdown because it was a fumble when they ran in the end zone when time expired. If you put the ball in the end zone, that doesn't happen. Okay. So there's one. That's the Giants game. Let's just go with another easy one. The Bengals and the Redskins tied in overtime. There's 2 games. So take away our tie and take away one of our losses. Now the Redskins are at 10-6. That's just 2 touchdowns that you add to any game. Okay? I'm going to go even further. Both the Dallas games, if we had a touchdown, we win. Both the Dallas games. One of them, he threw one of those interceptions in the red zone to cost us the game. But I'm not going to get too much into that. I can go all day about that. So both Dallas games, we lost 1 by 5 and 1 by 4. Touchdown on each game, we win. Okay? And Redskins versus Lions. We lost by 3. Touchdown wins that game. Easily. Okay? So there's 5 wins we could have had. 5 wins. Okay? We could have been a 13-3 roughly team. Okay? The games we should have lost should have been Panthers, Cardinals, and the Steelers. Those are the 3 games we should have lost, which was actually my projection to start the season. I thought we would have run the Big East table and we would have lost to the East, not the Big East, the NFC East. And we lost about 3 or 4 teams. I actually picked the Packers to beat us. Okay? So I can add those points to other games, and we could have won easily if he just holds serve and does exactly what he did the year before. But he doesn't. But I do think this year we need to trade him. And unless someone wants to convince me that this is the year we can win a Super Bowl. If we can win a Super Bowl with Kirk and all the weapons we have, and the defense can do something so that we can just get in the end zone, or get in the end zone and score, and Kirk's going to put up about 40 touchdowns, I'm on board with that. If that's the case, I wouldn't mind keeping Kirk then, but I want to get some value back for him. I don't want him to just leave, and then we're stuck without any kind of equity to get another quarterback. We have to have some assets, okay? And I personally think Colt McCoy can do a decent job with all the weapons that we have. So, other than that, that's my opinion. Now, my opinion is based on statistics, not facts, but statistics. And that's how I see the statistics. Okay? If you were to put this all in a pie, I want to do it, like do a graph and see where the numbers like really staggeringly change from year to year. I would love to do that. I think that'd be a very, very good idea, but I don't have the technology to do that right now. I mean, I know how to do it. It's just I don't have all the time to do it. But if you disagree with me, that's fine. You know, we all have our opinions. But don't come at me and say I'm an idiot because I have a different opinion than you. I see the stats. I tell you how I see the stats. I see the stats, and there's more stats to back up my opinion than there is to back up any other opinion like about the defense. So, I'm JD. This is my video. I'm going to do more videos about the whole draft overall and each team. But hopefully I don't have to have any more disgruntled Redskin fans. I hope I just like happy Redskin fan videos. But JD, peace out. See ya.